Chords can be played in many ways, but what are those ways, and why would you want to do that? Alright, so a chord voicing is really just a way of arranging notes. So if you have a C major chord, there's only 3 notes on a C major chord, C, E, and G. And how you arrange those notes is your chord voicing. So you might have C and then E and then G in a row, or you might have C and then G up higher and then E above that. That's another chord voicing. Chord voicings are generally categorized in 2 different ways. You have open chord voicings and you have closed chord voicings. I'm going to start with closed voicings. This is exactly what it sounds like. You have notes that are very close together. It sounds more intimate, I guess. It's a smaller sound. It's really nice with some more dissonant chords because you can really accentuate those dissonances when the notes are really close together. So it provides a nice effect. Here we have a song from the Agony soundtrack composed by Tom Hack. Right here in bar 18, we have what's essentially a G major 7 chord with B on the bass in a closed voicing scenario. So we have this F sharp here and G here, like right up next to each other. It sounds like this. That's a nice, it just sounds really nice to me. You have these notes that are very, very close together. And it sounds, I think it really carries the emotion of that chord a lot better than if the notes were spaced out. Also, don't be concerned if you don't understand the names of the chords that I'm talking about, because that's not really the point that I'm trying to make. We'll look at another example of closed voicings. Here is Rain from the Shenmue soundtrack, composed by Ryuji Iuchi. And here in the harmony, you've got just 2-note chords really close together like this. And it has this really small sound, and the closed voicings really help that. Take a listen to that. So you have these, the notes and the chords are very close together, so again, it just has that smaller sound, which is really nice for a quiet, simple song like that. And I think larger chord voicings wouldn't really do it justice in the same way that smaller ones do. As far as open chord voicings go, open voicings have the notes spaced out. One thing to keep in mind is that it's okay to have the same note show up more than once. So you might have, in a C major chord, you might have C, and then you'll have G after that, and then you'll have C again an octave higher, and then maybe E after that. That's actually really common for guitarists, as well as pianists and other arrangements, but it's very common on the guitar just because of how practical it is. Actually, a lot of chords on the guitar are voiced with the root, then the fifth, and then the root an octave higher, and then the third goes on top of that, rather than being immediately after the root in the same way that you might build the chord. For example, with C major, C major is made up of the notes C, E, and G. But on the guitar, you might often play that as C, G, C again, and then E on top. Here I'll take a look at Two Sugars from the Little Busters soundtrack. This was composed by Menak, I believe. No, it was composed by PMMK, which I believe, is a two-person unit. I think it's a group, and they compose things for games and whatnot. Here in measure 10, we have these big open chord voicings. You may not understand how to read these notes yet, and that's okay. You can see the physical distance between the notes on the staff, and I think that should make clear what I'm trying to talk about. I would really like to do a blog post on the basics of reading music, so be watching the site for that, which will be coming up soon. But back to this, we have some open chords here in this middle section, which gives it a nice, like, airy, open, big sound for just a solo piano piece like this. It sounds like this. And if you're curious, that last chord was a dominant chord, which does indeed lead back to the 1 chord. If you which is a 5-to-1 cadence. If you saw my video from a couple weeks ago, but you have these large open chord voicings, and these are only 3 and 4 note chords. You could put these notes very, very close together if you wanted to, but the composer chose to spread them out a bit to get that more airy kind of sound. And that's really the thing about closed voices versus open voices. It's really about the sound that you want and what's appropriate for the song. Really, different chord voicings can actually have a huge impact on how a song sounds or how a chord sounds in a given situation. Going back to this song from Agony, this chord right here might not sound all that great in another voicing, but the way it's all the notes are all clustered together like this, I think it's really impactful in that way. Another thing I wanted to talk about was voice leading. This dates back to classical type writing, and when chord progressions weren't really written as chord progressions. They're written as multiple melodies that were being harmonized. That said, it's still very relevant to any kind of music that you're writing. And what voice leading is making sure that the notes in your chord are transitioning smoothly from one to the next. But here I'm going to take a look at Daily Agony from Shenmue, which was also composed by Ryuji Iuchi. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Silly me. But over here we have this A-flat chord right here, and it's implying a G minor 7. The third of the chord isn't there, and then we have an F minor 7. And what you might notice, just looking at the notation here, is that the bass notes go down, descend down like this, one at a time, as do the upper notes and also the notes in the middle of the chord. This is very good voice leading, and these are also open chord voicings as well. They're pretty far apart. The composer could have chosen to voice these chords in another way that might not come off as smoothly, but here we've got everything kind of moving along the scale, and it really connects very well. Let me show you what it sounds like. I'll just go back and you can hear it again. So you can see that you've got the bass moving down, but you've got the melody and the harmony climbing up like this, building up to this F minor 7 chord, and it sounds really nice. There's another song that I want to show you that combines both good voice leading with the concept of open and closed chord voicings to do some interesting things. I am not even going to try to pronounce this title, but it is a song from the True Tears soundtrack. It was an anime, and it was composed by Hajime Kikuchi, who is you might recognize as one half of the band Euphonious. So over here, this is a string quartet, and over here in, I can't count, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over here in bar 12, we have, and this is a nice example of 4-part harmony. You've got the violin, second violin, the viola, and the cello, all playing their own interconnected melodies to form these chords. So this is what this little section here sounds like. Just that one little part right there. And you can hear that, it keeps moving throughout there, but it's actually just 2 chords. Even though you see 4 different movements here, it's actually just 2 chords. And this is where different chord voicings and the use of voice leading really shows how much you can do to expand just a couple of chords and use them in really interesting ways. Here we have this very first part. We have an A minor 7 chord. We have A on the bass right here, and then we've got C, E, and G up top. Next we have, and this is a pretty open chord voicing, from A all the way up an octave and a third up to C, and then the other notes are on top of that. So this is a fairly open chord voicing. From there, it closes back down just a little bit. And we have a B minor 7 chord right here. So we have B, and then we have A, almost an octave, just a minor 7th above that. And we have D and F sharp here. So we have this B minor 7 chord, but the rest of, right over here, the next 2 chords here are also B minor 7 chords. You can take a listen. That was the A minor 7, so here's all 3 of these next movements here are B minor 7 chords. So you can see how he uses that one chord and just moves it around in different ways to keep the song going, to keep this melody moving. You can see that B stays on the bass throughout these next few notes here, and really this is all that's happening is that the notes are being rearranged. So here we have B on the bass, and then we have A, then we have D and F sharp. So here, B is still on the bass, but the distribution of the upper notes has changed. So instead of the first violin playing F sharp, it's now playing A. And the second violin is now playing F sharp, and the viola is playing D. And here in this third voicing here, the chord voicing is opened up a bit more. We've got B still on the bass here. We have F sharp here in the viola. And then we have A in the second violin and D way up here on the first violin. So really, it's just taking these 4 simple notes and just moving them around in different voicings to create this movement. And it sounds really good. So it's just a really nice way of showing how you can use chord voicings, different chord voicings, and voice leading to make it sound like you're going places, even though you're staying on the same chord, really. You don't have to use the same exact voicing every time you play a chord, even if you're playing that chord multiple times in a row. You can change the voicing, and it keeps you interested, I think. It keeps me interested. So just to sum it up, closed voicings have the notes very close together. Open chord voicings will have the notes spaced out a bit more. and you might see some of the notes being doubled up. Voice leading is a way of voicing chords in such a manner that your melody and bass line and the inner harmonies all flow together in a clear, easy to understand way. And whether you use an open voicing or a closed voicing, it all comes down to what fits the song and what you like best for that sort of situation. This week's album of the week is the Atelier Totori soundtrack. This is a JRPG released in 2010 for the PlayStation. It's heavily medieval and Celtic inspired, so there's a lot of that sort of music on there. I discovered it like 2 weeks ago, and I've been listening to it pretty much non-stop recently. It's really, really good. Go check it out, and I will see you guys next week. Let's get the mic a little bit more over here. Heck, move the mic closer because it is okay for me to do that. Maybe it's not. Move it up more. We're good. Yeah,